I am making a video just to document what has happened to me in the last 4 to 5 days. I am currently staying in my friend Juliet's home. On the 14th of March, it's 4:15 in the morning, so I need to be quiet. I can't sleep. I've PC Ford, PC McCarthy, and a female officer gave me so much brutality, mental, physical, and verbal abuse in A&E in the hospital on my birthday on the 16th of March. And they also broke my phone. See here, there's a bruise. There's a bruise there. There's a bruise. And you can't really see in this light, but I think there was bruising there. It's sort of worn down a bit, but my hands had blown up a bit because of the handcuffs. I was handcuffed behind my back all night, and they put I'd never had a leg restraint put on me before. The reason why this is the first time I have ever been handcuffed behind my back all night and had a leg restraint put on me in A&E. This has all been over the past 7 years, this targeting, and this was in hospital, all because of the corruption. PC Ford initially gave me a different name. PC McCarthy, they're the two. PC Ford and PC McCarthy did this to me. PC McCarthy was the one who beat me on Beachy Head last month on the 3rd of February, the day I received news from a law firm saying my father has been dead since December 2021, and I still don't know how he died. Then they took me to the patrol centre and said I didn't need a mental health nurse and dragged me off the grounds. PC Ford, PC McCarthy know about my YouTube channel because PC Ford told me his YouTube account name is Legend. And they've been watching my YouTube channel. Eastbourne Police, Sussex Police have been watching my YouTube channel with all its evidence. That's probably why Charles Lucas Property Management, those cretins, found out about my YouTube channel through Eastbourne Police. Is there any surprise? Because they man all these terrible temporary accommodations. So it all started on the 14th of March when I received a letter stating that I had until the 17th of March to vacate the property because I had emailed formal complaints to the place where I live that I was in 7 years ago, which has now got a different name, and the people there are supposed to deal with complex needs. And it's a place that the Trestle Trust had ignored an online petition on Facebook saying, "Stop bullying the vulnerable." And so they've, without saying too much, it's got a notorious bad reputation. I don't know why I'm doing this, because it has got a bad reputation. Nothing's changed. The staff are demented, the police are demented, the hospital's demented, all the people are demented. But you've got to know how to play the system in the UK, because I didn't realise that there's a welfare register that protects criminals, just much like the police. But I was in this place 7 years ago before they started moving me around, trafficking me, targeting me, making me homeless, and they've done the same thing. I'm in fight or flight right now because I need to really, what I'm about to say has really pushed me to the edge. This was so bad, what the police did to me in the hospital, that they had to do an X-ray on my arms. PC Ford and PC McCarthy, PC Ford, whose troll account is legend, and PC McCarthy are very, very, very psychopathic, dangerous thugs. And PC McCarthy mentioned lodges. Well, he said you can't be a Freemason to get into the police. Yes, you can. Most of them are Freemasons. And I remember Andy Devine actually showed a photograph of someone from Sussex Police who was a high-ranking Freemason, so yes. And this is the first time since the 14th of March that I found out that I am banned from going into the town council, the town hall where I signed my mother's death certificate, shortly after I signed a homeless application form 6 days before she died when I was in supported accommodation. And this is despite the fact that me and Juliet went to the town hall together in 2021, where Caroline Ansell's MP office is. So this is the first time I've been banned from going to the MP office and the council, which is now together in the Eastbourne Town Hall, because of recordings. It's a government building, which is ridiculous because Councillor Robin Maxted, Councillor Stephen Holt, and Councillor Alan Shuttleworth, Head of Housing, Cabinet for Community, they all failed to stop and correct. I'd already put the 151 officer on notice under common law, the Chief Financial Officer at Eastbourne Borough Council, Hamira Javadi, with the red thumbprint to show I'm the living woman and not the legal fiction. I did it, in lowercase and everything. And this is despite the fact that me and Juliet had emailed the local government and social care ombudsman, and I added to the 99% of bad reviews on Trustpilot, and so on and so forth, and all the recordings and evidence that I have of council meeting minutes and my YouTube channel with my evidence of me being attacked by criminals and the rest of it. Oh, and by the way, did you know apparently I'm a paedophile? Because the night I'm saying that tongue in cheek, because I didn't know I was. I didn't realise how demented the staff there, the night staff were. Nikki on reception, they've packed up my stuff. I could scream right now. I could absolutely scream because I've just read an email saying that they have packed up all my stuff, and they've been doing that for 7 years, packing up my stuff and moving me around. I can't show this with I don't have a smartphone, but I used my camera. I'm a technophobe, but I used my camera to film the demented woman on the desk, Nikki, on reception, on the 14th of March. What I'd done was, initially, I had sent, Juliet told me to keep documenting. I don't know whether to kill myself or keep going, fight or flight. But on the night of the 14th of March, no, sorry, leading up to the 14th of March, my birthday was on the 16th, leading up to the 14th of March. Oh, by the way, I still can't live stream. My live streaming has been disabled. Interesting. Leading up to the 14th of March. The good thing about not being able to live stream is no one can tamper with your videos. Leading up to the 14th of March, I had sent emails to formal complaints about the obscene phone calls, the annoying phone calls, the harassing phone calls, and the 101 call handlers terminating my calls illegally, going against the Professional Standards Department apology. Because 101 call handlers have been terminating my calls ever since I was attacked at Belmore Road. Well, also when they terminated my calls. Yeah, they terminated. When I first got an apology for terminating my calls, it was when that traveller woman who came in covered in blood because she was so drunk from getting hit by cars at Elms Avenue. And the police were fed up with her because the UK police can't be bothered to deal with real criminals and drunks, but they'd rather target vulnerable people and people with mental health issues like me. So the nutcase, well, I've got to be careful with my words because she's taken her own life. So this was back in 2019 or 2020 at Elms Avenue. This traveller woman who came in screaming and shouting, and it was on CCTV. That was the occasion when the management didn't want to know, and the Professional Standards Department wrote to me saying, "I'm so sorry we terminated your calls." But they continued to terminate my calls when in 2020, for 2 months, I self-funded the Citrus Hotel for my safety. And on the date of Wednesday, the 21st of October 2020, I had been for hours on the phone to the local government ombudsman with a different reference, emailing Caroline Ansell MP, and a social worker called Marina never turned up, never saw her, spoke to her. But on that very day that I've been on for hours on the phone to all of these people, with emails to Caroline Ansell. Manageress turned from fakey to, we're not a hospital, and this was a hotel that adult social care sent me to in 2018, and they turned me away with nowhere to go. So adult social care had sent me in a taxi there, and I was turned away, and I went to my partner's flat, and I had emotional abuse issues, despite the fact that Caroline Ansell had given him a caring role through Care for the Carers. You see where this is all going. It's all orchestrated by narcissists. So on that date, Wednesday the 21st of August, I had to stay calm, praying, and then on that date, the manageress suddenly said, I don't want you here anymore. We're not a hospital. So I had been a self-funding loyal guest for 2 months with back pip pay. And then this real criminal, if you don't get out of here, I'm going to come in your room and drag your stuff out. Right. And I said, right, I'm getting on the phone to the police. The police response to me was hanging up on me. So this hanging up on me has gone as far back as the date that the police beat me on Beachy Head, because it all got too much. And then me being stripped naked, sectioned, trafficked on a section 2 to Belmore Road. So this is what's been happening. And then, of course, me being, the CPS said I never received court papers because they went to that Elms Avenue, the accommodation that I was staying away from for my safety when I went to the Citrus Hotel for 2 months. When I was at this Belmore Road that I'd finally been trafficked to with those dangerous criminals, where Sherelle Clark, mother and daughter, who were mentioned in the news as mugging the elderly, that the daughter was there and drunkenly assaulted me. I was in that hellhole. They kept arresting me fraudulently. When I was told by Sergeant Simmons to purchase a dictaphone to record antisocial behaviour, then I was arrested for doing it. And so on and so forth. And this is how I met Juliet, as a member of the public who saw my distress, came to my aid. I recorded to my laptop a social worker falsely offering me a 1-bedroom flat. Has that ever happened? No, I've just been trafficked from property to property trying to get legal help. This is why you really need to use these. People are not doing this. They're not using what's between these. So I have to stay calm because otherwise I'll lose my faculties and have a stroke or something. But basically, the long and short of it was 101 call handlers have terminated my calls to this very day. So at the property that I'm back at, that I've been in for 4 months, the past 4 months, because after Belmore Road, did you remember I was slandered in the Herald over the beating on Beachy Head in 2020? They were trying to get me in prison over a fraud, saying I beat the police. They're trying to cause me as much distress as possible, making me homeless, beating me. This is all Masonic. This is what the Masons are doing. This is what they're trained in. Psychological warfare. So, bear with me. On the 14th of March, no, let's backtrack. So I had been self-funding hotels from October 2021 with back PIP money, back severe disability money. I self-funded the Cavendish Hotel from October 2021 to summer 2022 for 9 months. And then for 3 months, I was in my partner's friend's flat. She came back from Nigeria. My partner had assaulted me over a set of keys that he had cut. The care coordinator, Karen, from Southdown Housing, and I've had to report her to the General Medical Council, along with all the other doctors and the GP, because she got me into this new accommodation that I've been in for the past 4 months, and it's the same accommodation that I was in 7 years ago when this all started, when my relationship with my partner started. I don't know if Darren's behind it, but truth shall reveal itself. I'm back in the same accommodation that I was in 7 years ago. I've only been in there for 4 months, and Karen, the care coordinator, got me out of my partner's friend Eben's flat. 4 months ago, this care coordinator placed me in a notoriously awful place. They've changed the name, but it's still the same. They're all demented. In fact, actually, it's worse. They've just made the website look wonderful, and it's not. Survivors of the Saffron Facebook page and the Trestle Trust Food Bank had ignored the online petition saying stop bullying the vulnerable. Nothing's changed. I'm back. They put me back in this place. A self-contained studio flat, and they were putting brand new carpets down 4 months ago, putting me back in there, making it look like they were going to help me this time. 4 months ago, back in the same place. And despite the fact that this Karen care coordinator was like, you're very welcome. And I was like, thank you so much. This was 4 months ago. I was praising her for getting me back into the same damn place I was in 7 years ago, before the council started human trafficking me to all these different temporary accommodations with these dangerous, demented, nutty people. And I've been targeted simply for telling the truth. I'm genuinely unwell, I'm genuinely bereaved, and they're trying to make me look like a nutcase rather than someone who's angry, distressed, and traumatized. Tell the truth, and believe me, you'll be a winner. Fight the good fight. I stabbed myself through the arm with a 6-inch knife in one of the hotels that's now been closed down and used for illegal immigrants. See the scar there? See the scar? And that was at the Strand Hotel. And that was after I had been reported missing, and Sussex Police contacted my father, whom I paid £45 to the Salvation Army family tracing to find, and then found him on Facebook. And I hadn't seen him since my 12th birthday. I still don't know how he died. He was chased away on my 12th birthday. I've just had my 41st birthday. But Sussex Police were more aware of what my father is like in recent years than I do. And they beat me. So anyway, so this is what has happened. So in this place that I have been back in, that they placed me back in, and they were putting brand new carpets down. It was all brand new. The reason why Karen, the care coordinator, put me in a self-contained flat for my safety was so that I didn't have to deal with other idiots, when in actual fact the council should have housed me by now. But they've human trafficked me over the past 7 years, illegally discharging duty. I had evidence of bed bugs crawling on me, and the council typed up fraudulent Section 184s. Fraudulent Section 184s saying, yes, we see the bed bugs, but we're going to discharge duty to you anyway. And Tina Jave of the Independent Advice Network wonders why I'm saying this. So all the police and the Freemasons and Dan from Police Abusing Powers, you're all part of it. Speak your own truth. So anyway, the long and short of it, I keep saying the long and short of it, leading up to the 14th of March this year, so of course PC McCarthy's are obviously full of violence and anger towards me because I made a video last month showing just some of the bruises, some, not all of the bruises on my body that he caused me on the 3rd of February, the day I had an email stating that I had just found out my father's been dead for over a year from his estate. And I missed my opportunity. And I emailed the place where I live, this place that used to be the notorious Saffron. I emailed them, because it doesn't matter if I say where it is now, it's not going to make any difference. But I emailed them to say about, generally speaking, my bereavement and mental health, and how I'd been treated by staff. I'd been screamed and shouted at, that I admitted to record, which I didn't have to do. I admitted to recording Jim on the desk, saying that he remembered me when I was there 7 years ago when it was the Saffron, because I'd been bullied by him and someone else, threatened with physical abuse by a member of staff there 7 years ago when it was the Saffron. And the Trestle Trust Food Bank had ignored an online petition saying stop bullying the vulnerable. It was a Facebook page. And I admitted it to him. And on the Monday before the 3rd of February, which I think was a Friday, staff had advised me to see their one and only mental health nurse, Pippa, and I did. I let my breakfast get cold because I'm not eating. I was ordering in takeaways because I'm struggling so much with my mental health, struggling with sleeping, eating, everything. And basically, he had screamed and shouted at me, "You've seen a mental health nurse?" He's like a Scottish Basil Fawlty. And then I said to him, "Do you realise?" Well, initially I didn't say anything, but I went away, had an anonymous call from some nutcase, went back to the reception and I said, "Do you realise I've actually been wanting to go up to Beachy Head suicidal?" And then, like a proper Scottish Basil Fawlty, right, and he shut the slammer. Come on in, I'll get you a cup of tea. And I thought, he's demented. And that's when I admitted to him that I had recorded him one time, just that one time, saying that he remembered me 7 years ago, and it's for a reason, because I've been trying to get legal help. And I also played him my dictaphone recording of a criminal on a tag threatening to beat me senseless at Belmore Road. I said, this is what I've been having to deal with. So at the end of my conversation, he said, yeah, look, I'll get a piece of paper, yeah, sign and date it, and I'll say I remember you here. And I thought, yeah, I wonder. Little did I know that all the staff there, including the night receptionist, whom I opened up to. One night I was talking to her about me, my transgender sister, all my family problems, and she sounded all nice and she sounded like she was listening. Little did I know that they were all going to get together and say that I'm crazy and ranty and all this sort of thing or whatever. Because in those formal complaints that I'm emailed to the place where I live, or have been living for the past 4 months, the place that the care coordinator placed me in, where I'm on a welfare register, little did I know that by emailing them formal complaints to complain because the night porter that you see in one of my videos of Ferguson being brutal and obnoxious and just thuggish, he had actually come in to do a welfare check, and it was just all so fake. Even the manageress has lied to me. They're fake. They're all fake. I give people chance after chance after chance, and I get lies and lies and lies. And this, believe me, what's it is really going to hit the fan so hard, because I've given these people a chance when they don't deserve it. I told Lisa, the manageress, that I was going to email the managing director, and that was on the 14th or 15th of March. And she was like, "You're not going to kill yourself, are you? You are eating and sleeping, aren't you?" She actually reminds me of Caroline Ansell, the MP. So fake. Because I told her I had already she admitted that they had Sherelle Clark in that accommodation, and this was the mother and daughter who had been mentioned in the national news as mugging the elderly, and they had been at Belmore Road. The daughter, Sherelle Clark, had been at Belmore Road. The daughter who drunkenly assaulted me. She actually admitted that she had been there, and I played her the recording of the criminal on a tag threatening to beat me up, and that was her friend from prison. This is what I mean. They all know each other, these criminals. So I had played these recordings. I even showed her, the manageress, Lisa, the article of me, Brave Bryony Battles On. Whether you suffer with mental health or not, no one has the right to go in and touch your things. And they have done this many, many, many times. And they've gone and done it again. They gave me till the 17th of March in a letter that's in that flat saying we will give you to the 17th of March. They've gone in there with the managing director the day after I told her that I was collating evidence of crimes committed against me whilst I've been living at SDR. Evidence, because it's now called SDR living. I collated evidence of obscene harassing phone calls, and it was for the managing director, Mark. And this is the day after she has said to me, "You're not going to, I'll get on the phone to the council. You're not going to take your own life, are you? You are eating, I'm not eating properly. I'm not sleeping properly." And the next day, she came in, it was either the 14th or 15th of March, the day after, she came in with Mark. She said, "I've got someone here." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not well, I'm not sleeping." And she brought in the managing director, and the managing director said, "You're supposed to have been out of here." I said, What? What's going on? What's going on? The only noise nuisance that I have caused while I've been living there is me on the 3rd of February crying and wailing my eyes out the day I received an email from a law firm saying, "I'm sorry, this is your father's estate. He's been dead since December 2021. The same day I rang Ray Savage from Ashburnham Place, the speaker at the conference at Ashburnham Place, who dated Patsy Redding, my mother's friend. The same day I went up to Beachy Head and got a beating from PC McCarthy, the same thug who did this to me on my birthday 2 days ago, with PC Ford, who dragged me out of the building on it was either the 14th or 15th of March. Because on the day of the 14th or 15th of March, on that date, Mark, the managing director, said, "You've got to be out of here." He changed the locks. No, I came out in my bare feet saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" It's taken me so long. The care coordinator got me in there 4 months ago as a place of safety, a self-contained flat, because of the criminals at Belmore Road. And Juliet is my crucial witness. She's a support worker for Southdown. She's going through treatment. Cancer treatment. And I'm trying not to use the C word because she's going through her trauma. But she no longer works for those people, Southdown Housing Association, like my sister. But isn't this ironic that all of this is happening to me? So again, on the 15th of March, the day that the managing director and Lisa walked up the steps, I was in my bare feet. I had been for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on the phone to the council with recordings saying that you cannot do this to me, and explaining I'm not well. Hours and hours on the phone, recordings of my phone calls again to the doctor's surgery saying, why are they doing this to me? They can't do this to me. This is trafficking. I'm not well. I'm glad I'd already delayed my report to the General Medical Council. This is targeting. This is targeting of a vulnerable, outspoken, whistleblowing woman. Me. So, what I'm about to say is almost black, very, very black humour. It's not even humour. But, ironically, the managing director changed the locks, and I was in my pyjamas and dressing gown, nothing on underneath, just my pyjamas and dressing gown, and slippers. I had just these. See the blood from my blisters walking round the town? This is all I had on me. This is all I had. I still stink. I mean, Juliet has been so good looking after me, but obviously I've got no, I mean, isn't it interesting that throughout all the mental, physical and verbal abuse, PC McCarthy, by the way, he referred to Darren, my partner, as a cunt. He called me every name under the sun. They were like, "Oh, your breath stinks." I haven't even got to everything they did to me. Putting a leg restraint on me, putting handcuffs on me very, very tightly behind my back all night long. So I had to have an x-ray on my arms. This is how bad it was. But that was on my birthday. I haven't got that far yet. So on the 14th of March, the managing director changed the locks. I'm fuming mad. Do this to someone who doesn't suffer with their mental health and see how they react. Yeah, do this to anyone who doesn't suffer with their mental health. I wonder how they'd react. This would test anyone. You would see anyone going crazy. So I had to stay, again, as calm as possible. Praise Abba Yahweh. And I went down to the doctor's surgery in my dressing gown and pyjamas and slippers. I think this was because I went to reception. It's very strange because at some point when I was out of the flat, they had gone in very sneakily to change the locks. The managing director had got me into such a heightened state that I had to quickly throw on some pyjamas and slippers because I was in bare feet panicking. Then I go up to reception because the flat is in the basement. I go up to reception. I'm ringing on the buzzer. No one's doing anything. I go back down and that's when I find they've locked me out. So the managing director deliberately locked me out so that I'd be in a state of distress. And just to save face, wait for it, they reported me missing to the police. And what do the police do? Beat and drag me along the pavement. Why would they do that? Well, this is what happened. Because I've even got a bruise here. Here's a bruise. Can't really see it in this light. There's a bruise there. So basically, hang on a minute. So what happened was when the managing director changed the locks, when I came out of the flat and I'd gone up to reception and buzzed on the buzzer, went back down and realised he'd changed the locks, I stayed as calm as I could and I went down to the doctor's surgery. I'd already let them know that I'd reported them to the General Medical Council upon receiving this notice to quit on the 17th of March. And the letter stated till the 17th of March. And I had been hours and hours and hours on the phone to all these people saying, no, you cannot do this. I'm not well. So bear in mind, the care coordinator, I'll say it again, repetition for emphasis, the care coordinator had placed me in a place where I'm on a welfare register in a self-contained studio flat for a reason. And that's after all this trafficking. And she's ignored my text messages. I've reported her as part of it now because she's failed to keep my possessions with Darren's friend safe. And I don't know what's going on with my possessions in Eben's flat and Darren's flat, but I've got recordings of DC Kamar from CID and Karen failing me, so I don't know what's going on. People just seem to be creating as much trauma and stress for me as possible and crimes against my human rights and civil liberties. But basically, I went down to the doctor's surgery to say, they've locked me out of my flat. I'm in my pyjamas and dressing gown. And they got me to see Dr. Jones. And what did Dr. Jones do? Nothing. 1.5 hours I spent with Dr. Jones. Absolutely Nothing. And she accused me of threatening her with the General Medical Council. Well, guess what? That's exactly what I've got to do now. And even the receptionist on the desk, the lady said to me, well, if you need to report her, report her. I've had so many run-ins with this practice, the lighthouse practice as it is. Claire Carter, the complaints manageress, the lot of them. So why is it when I've already let Dr. Stewart know on a piece of paper that I've reported him to the General Medical Council that he had sent me a text message with the nerve to say to me, you spent 1.5 hours with Dr. Jones? And this is a GP that has failed me, who knows what's going on. And a few years ago, he's warned me in an email not to refer to the Freemasons as Satanists, otherwise we'll be having a few words. And I've never heard of this organisation. Interesting that, because he's on a Hippocratic oath, isn't he? Interesting. I mean, Freemasons tend to be made up mostly of, medical, clerical, professional, whatever people. But anyway, so there we go. So, what then happened? What then happened? I was, so Dr. Jones wouldn't do anything for me that day. I think I went to the Lansdowne Hotel that day. I can't even remember what order I did this in now. I can't remember. I think I went to the Lansdowne Hotel after going to the doctor's. I think I went to the Lansdowne Hotel. And this was either on the 14th or 15th of March. I think it was on the 14th. And I've got a good relationship with the Lansdowne Hotel, but the deputy manager, Alan something, he said he'd escalate. He said I often get people from that place in here. He said, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down there and escalate the complaints for you and take it to the head of police. Did he take it to the head of police? Did he take it? Who knows? But he told me to wait. What I find really strange is he told me to wait in the waiting room in the Lansdowne Hotel staff room, and I waited there. And he brought back, he said, oh, this is a nice police officer. A Scottish female. I've forgotten what her name is. But funnily enough, she was there down at A&E, abusing me. She's a little young thing. They get them at a young age. They get them at a young age so that they can copy the older ones. And she was there on my birthday on the 16th, joining in the abuse. But this little Scottish girl, she was like this police officer. Alan, the deputy manager, said, she's nice, this one. I thought, oh gosh, no. But let's go along with this anyway. Let's see where this is going to go. So I sat down with her and she said, the very first thing she said to me was that I had refused to leave the hotel. And I leapt up and I said, whoa, 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 that's not true. Then she started arguing, and this is one of the nice ones. So I said, right, that's it. Well, she said, where are you going? Where are you going? See where I'm going with this. They're orchestrating this. So I then went to find Alan, the deputy manager. I said, can you please confirm that you offered of your own accord to go and escalate complaints to SDR Living and to take this to the head of police? And he was like a bit iffy. So I thought, can I trust him? Because you can't trust anyone. You can't trust anyone. But he was like, yeah. So as I was leaving, well, we were outside she was getting really funny and getting me all annoyed. And as I was leaving, she threatened to arrest me in front of him because this was not getting resolved. I was in my pajamas and dressing gown, and nothing had been resolved. So she said, Bryony, I'm going to arrest you if you don't stop, And I said, see? And I said to Alan, do you see what I mean now? Because he said to save face, he said, can you leave? I used to like the Lansdowne Hotel, but I said, look, I'm leaving anyway, okay? And I left. It's like they want to arrest you. They want to find a reason to cause you as much trauma and stress as possible. They just want you just to... So, basically, I, at some point, made my way up to Beachy Head. Yes, in distress, with all my issues, all my mental health, all my bereavement. Some of us never get over the death of our mother, and I just found out my father's dead. I'm on my own in the thick of it. And I've been made homeless again. So yes, I am going to Beachy Head with my suicide ideation. That's the diagnosis for it. So I go up there because they're pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing me to suicide. So I go up there and of course I don't have the guts to do it. I need to get intoxicated. I don't drink, but I need Dutch courage. And I didn't have any alcohol, and alcohol makes me ill because I'm intolerant. So it's rather annoying going up there because I don't have the guts to do it anyway. But I was in a heightened state of distress, in my pajamas, slippers and dressing gown. So one of the Beachy Head chaplains had finally noticed me. Not that it's a catch-22. It's like, I don't want to talk to them. It's like I want to kill myself. But I don't know what to do. I don't have the guts. I need help, but no one's going to help me. Everybody knows what this is like if they're in that situation because it's all set up to fail us. That's why Andy left the Beachy Head chaplains. Andy left the Beachy Head chaplains because it's too procedure based. You can't save people. You can't save people. So, I mean, Andy, this was a few years ago. Andy said, oh no, I'm not having another one go over our world famous suicide spot. Come away, come away. The next time I saw him, I was in Brighton with a duvet. So this is what I'm saying. So anyway. So the long and short of it was the Beachy Head chaplain saw me and I said, no. They always see me like this. They think I'm making... I don't know if people... They're so used to seeing me like this that they're treating me like an attention seeker rather than a targeted individual who keeps being made homeless. The Freemasons, these elitist nutcase psychopaths, want me to go nuts so that I'll end up on drugs, or as John Patterson, the fraud investigator who I met in the psych unit, says, they don't do it because they want you to kill yourself. So I'm hopping mad. And this lovely, thankfully, it was a nice old man, chaplain, Beachy Head chaplain, who said to me, Bryony, do you remember me? I remember you. He was an old man. Well, oldish. Maybe in his 70s, early 80s. Something like that. I'd say he was in his 70s, maybe. 70s or 80s. And he was like, come on, Bryony, come on. You don't want to do this. You don't want to be up here. Come on. I said, no, they've done it again. They're doing it again to me. Why are they doing this? I've had enough. So I said, no, I've had enough of all this. And the young man that was with him remembers me when I was on the edge of Beachy Head jumping up and down. And he used the magic wand phrase. If I had a magic wand. And they brought me back into the hut. It seems to be that the more I document things, the more worse things are happening to me. They brought me back into the Beachy Head chaplaincy hut. You know what? If I get cancer or I do have a stroke, you're going to know why. If I inherit my mother's cancer. That social worker landlord said, you don't want to inherit your mother's cancer. At this rate, I will. So anyway, they take me into the Beachy Head hut. I'm sitting with Peter, the chaplain, and I'm telling him everything that's happened. It's funny, isn't it, how people tell you, leave things in the past. Do the Christian New Age BS, satanic BS. Leave things in the past. Be positive, whilst the Mason Satanists are causing you as much stress as possible so that they can lower the population. It's population control. It's social engineering. Shut your mouth. Do as we say. Pretend to be positive. Go along with Lucifer, the light bearer, the deceiver. Put on your mouth masks. Shut your mouth. Say nothing. Do as you're told. Fear and control. But no, they're doing as much as they can to me to cause me stress. So I'm talking to Peter, the Beachy Head chaplain. Who walks in the room? PC Moyles and his colleague. Now, PC Moyles has seen me many times. PC Moyles was there on the night that I came out with my camera, because I don't have a smartphone, and I recorded. There was a drunk resident outside SDR Living who'd been screaming and shouting. The police were dealing with her, but I bet she still lives there. But I'm being kicked out again. See, they protect the criminals and the drunks who are on a certain level on the welfare register, but it's people like me who whistle blow and complain, who are bereaved and unwell, people who don't drink, don't take drugs, don't smoke, but show distress. They're the ones who are kicked out for complaining. I videoed, and this was the most dangerous thing that I could do, was to get my camera out and video, for it's very poor quality, footage of the police with the drunk woman. And I was shouting at them. Well, I wasn't really shouting at them. I was distressed, and believe me, I could have shouted a whole lot more for their crimes their crimes against humanity, my human rights, civil liberties and sovereignty, up to life in prison for malfeasance of office, and PC Moyles was there that night. PC Moyles remembers me, but isn't it interesting that PC Moyles does not remember me? He said to me in the chaplaincy hut in front of lovely Peter, this elderly beachy head chaplain who genuinely cared about me, PC Moyles said, "I don't remember you," in Eben's flat. Back in September, which was only 5 months ago, he doesn't remember me in Eben's flat when Darren had assaulted me over her set of keys. And that's why Karen, the care coordinator, got me 5 months later 2 months later, she got me into this place that I've been in for 4 months. And PC Moyles does not remember me back in September. No, it was actually 6 months ago. September was 6 months ago, but he doesn't remember me saying to him and his colleague, "Arrest Darren," and I came outside and followed them. "Arrest Darren. He's assaulted me over a set of keys." They just told Darren to go back to his flat. They knew that Darren had been emotionally controlling me in his friend's flat, and it was Juliet, my friend here, who flagged up that something was not right about Darren being controlling over a set of keys, because he already had a flat to go to. And it was the local MP, Caroline Ansell, who suggested my partner Darren have a caring role, and I have been banned from going into Caroline Ansell's MP office. And that has only happened within the last 3 to 4 days since I've been made homeless from this accommodation. So this me being a targeted individual is just calling a spade a spade. So basically, just a minute. So basically, PC Moyles and his colleague, PC Moyles does not remember me from Eben's flat, but he and his colleague were making out, they were playing good cop in front of the lovely, elderly, beachy head chaplain, our world famous suicide spot chaplain. Oh, I've missed out a bit. Hang on, I've just missed out a bit. No, this is really important that I say this. Prior to me meeting Pete, prior to Peter taking me into the Beachy Head chaplaincy hut and PC Moyles turning up with his colleague, I had actually gone into the Beachy Head pub, our world famous suicide spot pub, and for the first time ever, the manager of the Beachy Head pub came up to me from behind. I was in my dressing gown and pyjamas and slippers. Didn't say to me, "Are you all right?" He said, "You're Bryony, aren't you?" I said, I wasn't in the mood to talk. I thought he was a chaplain. I said, "I don't know you." He said, "Yes, I'm the manager." I said, "Oh, I thought you were a chaplain. We've never met." "Yes, we have. You were in the toilets one time and you set the alarms off." I said, "I was suicidal and homeless." Because it's interesting, because on my birthday, I actually had Rob from Sussex Police say to me, "There have been Chinese whispers." I know there have. because Eastbourne Police know about my YouTube channel, because on my birthday on the 16th of March, 3 days ago, I was beaten in A&E and had to have an x-ray, and one of those thugs who dragged me out of SDR Living has got a troll account, a YouTube troll account called Legend, and part of the torture was playing my YouTube channel to me, so they're going to see all of this. Yeah, so Chinese whispers, yes. I know there are Chinese whispers, Rob from Sussex Police. You didn't need to tell me that. I already knew that. You've all got a lot of crimes to cover up, all of you, and you know it. So, anyway, there's me who doesn't have I'm a technophobe, which is why my very first YouTube video has got no sound on it. I'm speaking for 2 or 3 hours and there's no sound on it because I'm a technophobe. But I've got curries to sort that out for me. Anyway, so yeah, I'm so glad I've been documenting all of this. So anyway, this is the first time that the Beachy Head pub manager has said to me, "We don't want you here," and all the all these girls behind the bar, the barmaids, they all started tittering and going, well, not tittering. They were like, "Oh, you're always up here. We always see you up here." Because I asked if I could have my phone charged. I just said, "Can I have my phone charged, please?" And I was in my dressing gown, pajamas, and slippers. Isn't it strange that in a world famous suicide spot, a world famous suicide spot, Beachy Head pub, for the first time ever, they have refused to charge my phone for me, and here I am in my pajamas, dressing gown, and slippers, homeless. Very strange, isn't it? Don't you think it's strange? Don't you think it's strange that the managing director has changed the locks in a place where I'm on a welfare register, then reported me missing to the police, then a few hours later, I'll come to this in a minute, the same police officer who injured me in A&E and I had to have an x-ray is the same one of the two who did this to me, PC Ford and PC McCarthy. PC Ford had dragged me out of the reception area of my home, and there was a nutcase looking through the reception from the outside building saying that I was filming her daughter. She was looking behind a curtain with her smartphone. Weird, isn't it? They're all demented. Like as if I'm some kind of a paedophile when I'm just some nutcase is filming me and I'm just trying to get into my home. And anyway, so I haven't even got to that bit yet. So I can't believe this is happening to me. It's like someone is writing this story for me. All these psychopaths. So a day in the life of a targeted individual. So basically, so oh gosh, I am so tired. So basically, I don't know why this is happening to me. The Beachy Head pub. This is the first time the Beachy Head pub in all my life, all my 41 years, not 41 years, well, ever since the late 80s, this is the first time I've ever been told to stay away from the Beachy Head pub. And there I am, distressed, saying, can I have my phone charged? In my slippers and dressing gown. And the manager doesn't want me there. Don't forget, I'm the one whom the solicitor, whom I never saw again, he must have been a Freemason, said to me a few years ago on the date of Wednesday the 21st of October 2020, when I self-funded the Citrus Hotel and I was dragged out of the Beachy Head pub. He said, did you go in there of your own accord? Did they drag you out? No, they dragged me out, threw me against the police car, and I never saw those lovely clothes again. I was stripped naked and taken, sectioned and trafficked to Belmore Road, the dangerous accommodation where I met Juliet on the street, trying to help me as a member of the public. So yeah, and then slandered in the Herald, and then they tried to get me in prison, and then I'm reporting a solicitor to the legal ombudsman, but as part of the corruption. You know what I mean? It's because she said plead guilty to get a probation officer to help you with housing. What? Law abiding, truth speaking Bryony? I don't think so somehow. Makes you wonder how many innocent people are in UK prisons. Because a lot of the criminals are wandering the streets and dressing up as police officers. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying. Oh, I've got to get this out. PC Moyles and his colleague. So the Beachy Head pub had said, we don't want you here, and that was a first. And then I go and I walk off onto the cliffs, and that's when Peter, the elderly Beachy Head chaplain, coerces me, gets me to come, well, not coerces, but encourages me to come back to the hut to get a cup of tea and all of that. Sitting in the chair, cup of tea, biscuit. He's lovely, by the way. Peter is genuinely a lovely Beachy Head chaplain. I can count on half a hand the people that I feel comfortable with. And yeah, so that's when PC Moyles and his colleague turned up, and PC Moyles was there when I videoed the drunk woman outside, and there they were all outside there with this crappy camera. And of course, people, the strange woman, the strange girl who said I was filming her child that very day that I was trying to get the receptionist to let me back into the flat that the managing director had locked me out of. That woman was looking at me through the curtains. But interestingly, that strange girl, that same strange girl who said that I was filming her daughter, when I was filming with this camera, a drunk woman with the police, I was making a scene because I was so angry that they had beaten me last month on Beachy Head when I found out my father's been dead for over a year, and this girl was looking at me through the curtains. And this is where I'm perhaps a bit naive, perhaps a bit stupid, naive, I don't know. But when this girl, that same girl who said I was filming her daughter, she nodded and looked at me because I was pointing to the police. I was making a scene because I was trying to find out who agrees with me that, generally speaking, the police, because I'll tell you what, I could kill them for what they've done to me. If I had lost self-control, I could kill them for their crimes against me. Let's face it. If criminals are doing evil to you, consistently, you could lose it and kill them. You could go absolutely nuts. But I wasn't. I was shouting at them for their crimes against me while they've got this drunk woman outside. That was last month, shortly after PC McCarthy did what he did to me on the 3rd of February when I found out my father was dead. And that woman's looking through the curtains, that same one who said I was filming her daughter. So anyway, PC Moyles and his colleague, PC Moyles said he didn't remember me from Eben's flat back in September. My partner's friend's flat, he doesn't remember me telling them arrest my partner. But he remembers me just for being Bryony. Yeah, whatever, PC Moyles. Pardon me. But Peter the Beachy Head chaplain whispered in my ear, "Look, these two will help you. They'll help you. They'll bully their way back in for you." And I felt like saying, "Peter, with all due respect, you have no idea. You're not living in the reality that I'm living in." But I didn't feel I could say it to them. In fact, he actually stayed on a little bit. He was meant to be going home. And I said, "Oh, I don't want you to go." And he said, "I'll stay a bit longer." And I said, No, because he's an old man. I said, "I don't want you to stay." He said, "I'll stay." He whispered in my ear, "They'll get you back in for you. They'll bully their way." And I felt like saying, "They won't." But I didn't feel I could because he's an old man. So I zipped it. I did what I've been doing for over the past 7 years. I went along with these numpties because they're all the same. They're all the same. They're all order followers. That's why I've got no respect for anyone who joins the police. It's not fit for purpose. They're criminals with everything that's happening. It's a catch-22. There's only one that I like, and I still have a bit of a problem with him. And he's the only one who's kept my respect, and that's PC Ian Williams, the welfare officer, he's the last one I saw, who actually advised me to go and see Darren. PC McCarthy, who did this to me with PC Ford, and I had to have an X-ray. PC McCarthy is the same one who beat me on Beachy Head, and I had to get the paramedics to look at my wrists there and then last month when I found out my father's been dead for over a year. He referred to my partner as a C word. So there we are. These are evil, demonic people. But yeah, PC Ian Williams is the only nice one. So the long and short of it, because I'm jumping back and forth, PC Moyles and his colleague, I can't remember his name, took me down from Beachy Head and took me to an address. And I can't give the address, but it's another one of these temporary accommodations. And here's the thing, it's only a room and it's for 28 days. I wasn't shown to a room, I was shown to a couch with a duvet, and it's only a 28-day placement. How can they do that when I've got a studio flat? All my stuff is in there. I was given a crumpet and a cup of tea. It's human trafficking. I've got nothing against the lady and the man, but this is insanity. And it was too traumatic. So that night, I'm lying on the couch, I'm traumatized, and it's all too much. So I walk out of the flat, the HMO, and I walk out that night because I had no money on me, no food. My battery was about to cut out. In fact, the battery did cut out. I had no battery, nothing, no food, nothing. So I walked all the way to the hospital in my slippers and my pyjamas, nothing on under here, so it was freezing cold. That's why I got blisters. I go down to see the crisis team once again. I needed a sandwich and food. I said I need sandwich, food. I've been locked out of my accommodation. So no, hang on a minute. Before I went to A&E, when PC Moyles, no, I've got that wrong. Sorry, when PC Moyles, no, I think I've got that wrong. When I'm trying to remember now, when PC Moyles and his colleague took, when PC Moyles and his colleague took me down from Beachy Head, they didn't do what Peter, the Beachy Head chaplain, told them to do. They went into the reception area. No, sorry. Yeah, they went into the reception, told me to wait in the car, and they said, "You've got another address." I said, "No, I need to get back into my property." "Oh no, it's just a shit situation, Bryony." They make out that they're trying to help you. It's a catch-22. It's like Stockholm syndrome. They want you to do what they want you to do. That's when they took me down to this other address. This address that I had said no to, and Sally Fisher from the temporary accommodation team went ahead and did it anyway. This nasty, nasty piece of work. Because this Sally Fisher has even had the stuff in that studio flat packed up when I've got OCD and they keep doing this. I've got valuables, everything. They've kept on and on doing this over 7 years. I've got DC Kamar of Eastbourne's ECID and the care coordinator have failed me because I've got domestic abuse issues. Darren's got my stuff. His friend has got my stuff. The care coordinator put me in this place. They have all failed me, all coerced me, all controlled me, all manipulated me, taken advantage of my honesty and my trust and my human rights and my civil liberties. So basically PC Moyles and his colleague had gone into the reception, couldn't get me in, took me to this property. I was being coerced against my will, and I'd been left alone with this woman who got me a crumpet and a cup of tea, and she seemed like a nice lady. But it still, she didn't get it really. Then this Cameron came. We'd been waiting ages for a key. He never even turned up to give me a key. This is what's crazy. I waited so long for him. This was all human trafficking. He just gave me a duvet on the couch and nothing else. A crumpet and a cup of tea. I was hungry. I didn't have my money. I didn't have my food. I didn't have anything on me. So I walked out that night. So this is what then happened. I walked out. I thought, where am I going to go? And I thought, I know, I'm going to go back to reception and I'm going to see what happens. And I had my camera with me. It was on a low battery. So I took this camera. The battery's run out now. But I took it with me because that's all I had on me was the keys. Of course, they've changed the locks, the keys and this. And actually, where are my keys? And So I managed to film Nikki, the receptionist, let me into the reception area. Ooh, I might be getting run down with a cold because of this stress. But basically, Nikki, the receptionist, let me into the building, but she didn't realise. Well, I didn't know that she didn't realise she wasn't meant to let me in, and I couldn't care less. So isn't it ironic that they've got a rule about not recording people, but I had to do this for my own sake because of their crimes against me? All these crimes against me, no recording. They've got CCTV of me, I can record them. I have to because of what's been done to me. So Nikki, the receptionist, this is when I thought she was a nice person. She turned out to be an utter nutcase. She's either a nutcase or with Rob, because of what Rob from Eastbourne Police said that we all know about you and Chinese whispers. Because I know about these Chinese whispers and the Freemasons. This Nikki receptionist, for I don't know, either way, they're all demented. They're all completely and utterly demented. Because I thought she seemed like quite a nice girl. But when she realised it was me, I started speaking and she started panicking. She said, "You're not meant to be here. You're 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 not meant to be here." And I'm not exaggerating. That is how she spoke to me. She came out and it was like she had some kind of OCD Tourette's that I'd never seen before. She came out and she opened the door and she said, "Will you please," or it was either that or, "Will you please leave? Will you please leave? Will you please leave? Will you please leave? Will you please leave?" And I was talking and she wasn't listening, and I thought, they're all as demented as each other. What with Jim on the desk, screaming and shouting at me, "You've seen a mental health nurse! You've seen a mental health nurse!" And, Scottish Basil Fawlty, they're all completely and utterly demented. And I thought, stay calm, Bryony. So I stayed calm. I said, "I need to get back into that flat. They've changed the locks. I've only got my pyjamas and dressing gown and slippers on." And she was going to absolutely and utterly demented. Don't forget, I'm on a welfare register there, and they're meant to be trained to deal with staff with complex needs. There are meant to be staff, it's on the website, staff trained 24/7 to deal with complex needs. And this Nikki is going, "You're not meant to be here. You're not meant to be here. You're not meant to be here." Oh, and then I'm getting a cold. And then she gets on the phone to the police and she says, one of our people here, Bryony from flats whatever number, she's here and she's not meant to be here. I didn't realise. I let her in and I didn't realise. Could you come down and get rid of her, please? Because she's just ranting and raving, and I'm like, "Rant." Oh, sorry, I might be a bit loud. Worried I might have woken up Juliet being a bit loud. So basically, the long and short. I always say the long and short, and I never keep it short. Basically, um, basically, yeah, so this receptionist, Nikki, she, so yeah, so she was saying, she kept saying, will you please leave, will you please leave? And I was obviously fuming angry about this because I'm in my dressing gown, slippers, pajamas, and whilst this is going on, I've got I've got my camera and I'm in the reception area and the battery is running and the battery is running out. So the girl, there was a girl in the girl through who was peeking through the curtains with her iPhone thing. I noticed that she was looking through the curtains where I was in reception, which I found a bit odd because it's not like I was ranting, raving, or shouting or anything like that. I was just in reception, which is a sort of glass area cordoned off from the outside building. And Nikki, Nikki kept coming out, and you can't, for some reason, at night time you can't let yourself out. I noticed I couldn't get out because I was thinking. So I said, right, I'll wait for the police then. So I waited for the police, which was rather stupid, really, because I knew I was going to be assaulted, but it was going to happen anyway. I just knew it was going to happen. Yeah, because I'm on their targeted radar, of course. So so basically, she said she went round the back. Before she went round to behind the desk, she said, "Can you not film? By the way, can you not film this woman's daughter?" She said, "You're filming her daughter." I said, you're crazy. You're demented." Yeah, because I'm a paedophile. What? I mean, the battery was running out, and I was obviously trying not to get really angry, but I was obviously fuming inside, saying, "Let me back in," and all of this, "Let me back in." And she then goes and puts um like heavy metal music on, and then I'm saying, "Let me back in, let me back in," and then she turned the volume up to drown me out. Obviously I knew this was going to go nowhere anyway, but what do you do? I mean, what do you do when you've got nothing on you but your dressing gown, slippers and pajamas, no money, no food, no battery, nothing? And I still haven't got access to all my stuff. I still haven't. I'm in my friend Juliet's flat, but I still haven't got access. I've been wearing the same filthy, well, you know what, because it's filthy. Because I've had a bath here, but I'm still filthy because obviously, I need my shampoo stuff. I need my toothbrush. I need my, all my stuff. You can't just keep trafficking people around, moving them around all the time, making them homeless because you don't like them, because you want them to kill themselves, because that's what the Masons are doing. So anyway, and we all know that because that's what and even John Alexander Patterson said, don't kill yourself because that's what they want. So yeah, so Nikki is saying, will you please leave? Will you please? You've got to leave. And yeah, I just found it really interesting that she said to the police, I've got her out here, she's ranting and raving. Well, that's interesting because it makes me wonder now what the staff, what Lisa, fakey Lisa, the manageress, said about me, because she said we've all gotten together, all the staff, and we've decided this isn't the place for you. Absolute BS. These people aren't even trained to deal with complex needs, let alone. I wouldn't treat a rat. I said to her, you can't. I said to this Nikki, I said, haven't even got basic training in PR skills. You're demented. Absolutely demented. Alluding to the fact that I could be a paedophile and that I'm ranting and raving when she's saying, you got to leave, you got to leave, you got to leave. Yeah, that's really, they're all crazy. So and who turns up? The police, who are actually thugs and criminals. PC Ford and his colleague came in. Nasty pieces of work. PC Ford is a very, very, very vicious, demented. I mean, I know Abby Ahmed doesn't want me to use such words, but a bit thick, like PC McCarthy. They're just pathologically sick, absolute psychopaths. But they're the worst type of psychopath. So they come into reception and they're like, right, come here, right, ugh, dragging me along the ground. Oh, like this, like this, like this, like this. Dragging me along the pavement, and I'm calling out, and there'll probably be people watching me in the neighbours will probably, some of them would be looking at me thinking, oh, another drunk or something like that, when in actual fact they have no idea. Which is why I was calling out saying, you do nothing about the criminals. You're always targeting the vulnerable, because I want people to hear that this is what's actually happening. Which is interesting, PC Ford, that you did that to me and that you admitted that your troll account is legend. Because PC Ford is going to be watching this. And yes, I have reported you and PC McCarthy and the female who refused to give me her name. So, my voice down. So PC Ford and his colleague dragged me out and said, you've got a place to go to, and they just said, you get in the car and we'll take you to that place. In other words, we'll human traffic you. I said, I don't know if they forced me into the car, coerced, forced, whatever. And I said, no, I don't want to. I want to go. I've decided I'm going to go to the hospital. I've had enough of this. Right, well, you'll get out here. I said, I want to get out here. Get out then. So I got out in Seaside in my slippers and pajamas and dressing gown. The whole reason why I left that property was because I was so traumatized. So isn't it interesting that on that night of the 14th or the 15th of March, the managing director had changed the locks, despite the fact that I was on a welfare register, then reported me missing to the police. Then PC Ford and his colleague dragged me out and left me on the streets. They either offered to take me to that place where there's just a couch and a duvet, or nothing. Because Cameron didn't even have a key to a room. And it's just not doable, because all my stuff is in a studio flat. You can't move stuff out of a studio flat into a room that's just a 28-day placement. This is human trafficking. You can't do that. But they have been. They've been packing up my stuff and moving me around. And for someone who suffers with OCD, there are a lot of people who are not telling the truth. It's had such an effect on me that I've even said to Juliet, there's nothing you know about this, is there? Because I needed Juliet's, input with all of this. But, it's just like, it drives you, it's evil. It's absolutely evil. So, wow, I can't believe this is happening. So, I've got to stay as calm as possible. That's what you have to do when you're a targeted individual. What was I going to say? So I went down to the hospital to go and get a sandwich because I was so hungry. I had no food or money or anything on me, so I went down there to at least get a sandwich. And I felt like I was demanding a sandwich. I said, I need a sandwich and I need a drink, obviously because of what's happened to me. So they got me a sandwich and a drink. This silly girl called a security guard must have thought she was really doing her bit. This has all been orchestrated. I'm really heavily being targeted. I'm being bruised and injured. I once got a security guard to look at my nose in A&E, and my bruised, bleeding nose, and they said this is highly unusual. This is when I put up my arm to protect Darren, and my arm got trapped in between Darren and the security guard, and I was dragged along. And this is becoming a thing, you see. So, a number of times the police have assaulted me and the security guard. And they like coercing me out of the premises. I don't know if it was that's yeah. So anyway, so I had my sandwich and I was given a cup of tea. I saw the crisis team, which was absolutely insane because, as always, and ridiculous and pointless. And you can see it in their eyes. They know it's this has been going on for ages. The crisis team, the crisis team, the crisis team. It's all set up to fail. You know the phrase "we're going round in circles." You're just going round and round and round in circles, in physical circles, because that's what they're doing. So basically, as I said, everything is orchestrated. Everything is set up and orchestrated. I tell them everything that's been happening. They make notes. Then I go and I say, what have you written down? I need to see what's written down because there was a time when Janie from the crisis team, I've been talking to her for like hours, and all she wrote down was aggressive. And I said, why have you written down that I'm aggressive? Well, I'm sorry, Bryony, but you are. And that was a few years ago. So I'm being played, but there's no way out for me. So I said, let me have a look at your notes. And they gave me the pad. whilst I had been waiting for the crisis team to do whatever they were doing, I was sat with a patient in A&E who made out that she was homeless, that she said the winner of Big Brother 2017 owned a flat in Seaford, and that she had lived in his flat and then been made homeless, and that a foreign family had been moved in, which sounds a bit strange to me. But she said she and her husband were alcoholics. And I don't believe her now, because she went from being friendly to then trying to get involved in my business when I was with the crisis team, hidden away from the sort of main area. And I said, let me have a look at your notes. And they gave me the pad to have a look at. And I said, why have you said that I am? No, I had a look. She gave me the pad, and then she went to snatch it. I said, don't snatch it. Why? And then this funny patient, who started off being friendly, started to say, hey, you, stop having a go at them. They're only trying to help you. I said, hey, why have you suddenly changed towards me? Mind your own business. Then, of course, the crisis team are then doing that thing where they're saying, oh, look, Bryony, you're trying to upset everyone. So I was like, oh, gosh. So I then think, I've got to get out of here. So I go over to the security guard with the pad in my hand, saying, look, she's sorted me with the pad. I need to get out of here. This patient is harassing me. And then, wait for it, the security guard then starts getting funny with me. See, there's a nasty, very nasty, bald-headed security guard who's got his eye on me now in the hospital, in Eastbourne Hospital. Don't forget, this is a hospital where I visited my mother in oncology back in 2009. So basically, I just want to get to the end of this video, because already it's been nearly 2 hours and I haven't slept. It's 6 a.m. and also I don't want to wake up Juliet. So basically, I go outside of the hospital with the pad in my hand with the notes, and it's funny. I said to Juliet, it's like being on a chessboard. It is. It's the Masonic chessboard. They're making their moves. Anyway, so I went outside with a pad of paper, and these two numpty security guards were saying, this is private property, but it's not private property, is it? And Juliet agreed with me. No, it's public. The hospital is public grounds, but me and Darren have been assaulted by security guards anyway. So they like bullying me off the premises. They've done everything. They've done absolutely everything criminal to me. So they're trying to bully me off the premises, and I've got the pad in my hand. And I said, it says here that I'm rambling. So there we go. So I said, right, you can have your pad back. And then these two idiot security guards are not satisfied until I've walked all the way off the premises. And they were trying to touch me and coerce me. I said, do not touch me and do not coerce me. But they were. And I thought, well, I don't want to get a bleeding nose again. So this is criminal. This is absolutely criminal. It's public. It's not private property, it's public property. It's the NHS. But they were bullying me away anyway and coercing me. I said to the girl, because they just sounded stupid. I said, take your mask off. I can't even hear you. They're just mouths on sticks. So I walk off the grounds. And I just looked at the name tags. I went, "Bye, Elliot," like this, walking away. And just as I was coming off the hospital grounds, there was a woman in a car, and she said, "Are you all right?" And I was just about to cross into the road. She said, "I'll pull up." No, I'm not all right. Anyway, it wasn't safe for me to stop and talk, so I crossed the road and I walked all the way back into town. Hadn't slept. People were driving past, making faces at me like, what are you doing in your dressing gown and pajamas?" I walk. I then get into near town, and I'm on the steps of my mother's accountancy firm. My late mother's the executor of my late mother's estate, their accountancy firm. I'm on the steps ringing on the doorbell, and then this woman walks past and looks at me and says, "Are you okay?" I said, "Oh no." She said, come and what's wrong?" So I walked down from the steps. I said, "I've been put through hell. I've been made homeless I'm on a welfare register." I told her everything what happened. They changed the locks. I've only been there for 4 months. They've changed the locks. I'm on a welfare register, and they've made me homeless. And then reported me reported me missing to the police. And then the police have assaulted me out of there. So it's all fear and control. She said, "Come with me, come with me." And I walked with her, and she said, "What are you going to do?" And I mentioned the town hall. I said, "Maybe I'll try the MP office, but they're a waste of time, like everything." And she said, "Okay." So she said, "They're not open till 9 a.m. So maybe you want to sit on the steps." So I walked away, and I walked sort of where Caffins is, and I was on the phone I think I was leaving voice messages for Juliet, and the town hall wasn't open yet. So, but a lady came out and said to me, "Are you okay? Would you like a cup of tea?" She just came out of nowhere. And I said, "Oh," she was all very lovely, very lovely. It's hard to find people like this. And I said, "Oh, thank you. That would be very nice." I said, I'm just, everything's really bad." And she invited me into Caffins, where there are some fancy vintage cars in the window. And I said, "Oh, right, yeah." I came upstairs. They were so nice to me. They gave me cups of tea and got me a sandwich and a croissant. The thing, and they listened to me for a very long time. But what concerned me a bit later on was I was a bit worried that we might have the same scenario that I had at the Lansdowne, where someone might make out that I am doing something I'm not, which is being in a place in dressing gown and pajamas where I don't belong. But they offered, and this was the same. They said, "Oh, the lady that you saw, the lady who had seen me on the steps of my late mother's accountancy firm, uh, my late mother's um, my late mother's estate accountancy firm, the same lady who had seen me there walked me into town. She actually worked with those same ladies at Caffins. They invited me in, gave me cups of tea. I thought, how nice." So obviously this woman had told her colleagues that she was concerned about me, and they'd hung around looking out for me. then invited me in. But I said everything, I explained everything to them. One of the ladies was on her computer and I said, I don't want to stop you from doing what you've got to do. And she said, no, I'm listening. I had so much to tell her. But as always, I just, kept to the point. But this is what I find really strange is the main lady who took over from the other ladies, who'd been listening to me and I'd been ringing and doing whatever I could. I don't know, it's like at any point I could just have a heart attack or just collapse. But at some point, oh God, at some point, this lady, let me just talk and talk and talk, and then she said, right, I will ring adult social care for you. I said, oh, thank you. Even though they're a waste of time and they're part of the corruption, I said, thanks anyway. So she rang adult social care, and well, I don't know if she did, but what I found really strange was sometime later paramedics turned up, and I thought, well, that's odd. Why have the paramedics turned up? It's just like it's just like with the Lansdowne hotel deputy manager. Why did he call the police? Well, why call the paramedics? They're no good. But not that I've got anything against those lovely ladies at Caffins, but here's what happened. This just proves what I'm saying. Paramedics turn up. Talk about Chinese whispers. Paramedics turn up and they make out they're all nice in front of these ladies at Caffins. And they say, right, we'll take you down there. I say, yeah, because I need to get back into that property. This is not doable. And it's that idiot, that male paramedic. Honestly, I could bang everyone's heads together. I could do so much. I really could. But they made out that they were trying to help me. Oh, it's rubbish. They take me down there. Then Lisa, the manageress, comes out. Well, they take me down to SDR, ring on the buzzer, and a woman is so rude on the buzzer. I don't know if it's Lisa, the manageress, but so rude. And then the male paramedic said, "Oh, that's a bit rude." And Lisa, the manageress, comes out and she said, "Look, yeah, well, she's got a place to go to, and we've packed everything." He said, "Right, you've got a place to go to." I said, "No, no, this is the place you're meant to be getting me into, Bryony. You're not listening. They've got you." I said, "Oh, I don't believe you. You're useless. I can't believe you do." So I just walk off. I then walk back to the doctor's surgery to update them. Don't forget, I've don't forget how Dr. Jones had failed me for 1.5 hours, and my GP very sarcastically reminded me of this in a text message, even though he knew that I had reported him to the General Medical Council and that I had threatened Dr. Jones with the General Medical Council, so to speak. I then go back down there. At any given moment, I could just collapse, absolutely collapse. So I've gone down there. And on my way to the doctor's surgery, in my dressing gown, pyjamas, and slippers, the ambulance is coming round the corner, and the male, that idiot, winds down his window, and I said, I'm not talking to you. It's just everyone is useless. No one's doing anything. You wonder why you taxpayers are so angry because you're part of the problem. Everything is set up to fail everyone. Nothing's fit for purpose. I've never worked harder in my life than when I've been on ESA and PIP. I've never worked harder in my life than when I've been on benefits. My life was relaxed and so much better when I was working. When I was at home living with my mother and I was working. But now I'm on benefits. I'm running around like a blue-ass fly doing everyone else's jobs. It's interesting that, isn't it? Very interesting, whilst all these crimes are being committed against me. Wake up, people. Eastbourne police are watching me. So anyway, so what happens next is where do I then go? What was my next move? So this was the 14th or 15th of March. Yeah, I'm down. So I'm in the doctor's surgery going just trying not to tear my hair out. And I rang up Juliet. At some point I rang Juliet and left voice messages to update her on what had happened to me. Because at some point she was aware of what was happening. Basically, I went to the town hall when it had opened, and I managed to get through to Juliet, and she was aware of what was going on, and she said, "Oh, I'll come down," and I said, "Could you meet me at the town hall?" But when she was available for me to speak to, I went into the town hall. And here, what's really interesting is just like with the Beachy Head pub, I'd never had a problem with the Beachy Head pub staff before or the manager. But this is where Rob from Sussex Police has spilt the beans and said Chinese whispers have been going around. This is all over 7 years. Like I don't already know that. So this is really strange because I go into the town hall and bearing in mind me and Juliet have sat there waiting to speak to someone called David, a caseworker, whom in 2021 said we get complaints like this all the time and I'd be more angry than you if this was happening to me. I'm now in the MP office and I said to a security guard I need to speak to Caroline Ansell. And when I said to him that I'd exhausted the local government and social care ombudsman and that I'd added to the 99% of bad reviews on Trustpilot, the security guard said, "Oh yeah, oh." So I thought, oh, he's on my side. So he went away, came back, and this lady came out and said, Caroline Ansell is not seeing anyone today, and you're not allowed in here. I said, I beg your pardon. She said, you're not allowed in here because of you've been making recordings and you could put our lives at risk. This is a government building. I said, whoa, you're having a laugh here. And all I was doing was sitting down in my pyjamas and dressing gown and slippers in distress. Quietly, quietly waiting. So I then managed to get Juliet on loudspeaker. I passed my phone to this lady, and she said, yes, she's not allowed in here. And then the security guard said, I said to the security guard, I said something to the security guard, and then he said, yeah, but that's before I found out what you were really like. And I said, Juliet, they're bullying me. And then another security guard, there were about 3 security guards in total. One of them was like over 6 foot tall, and he's coming right up close to me. And I said to Juliet, they're bullying me. And and um and I said the one that I thought was on my side, he's saying, yeah, that's before I knew what you're like. And she said, oh, Bryony, don't worry, he's just a buffoon. And I said, Juliet says you're a buffoon, so he just laughed. And I was literally, they were coming right. I said, you don't have to come up close to me, go away. So I was actually coerced off the premises of the town hall. This is a place where I signed my mother's death certificate. This is a place, the town hall, where I signed my mother's death certificate on the 17th of August, I think it was 2009. My sisters were arguing over who signs it. And I had signed a death certificate, and I had signed a homeless application form 6 days before my mother died out of supported accommodation. This is Eastbourne Borough Council for you. They're so evil and a stronghold for Freemasonry. So Juliet, anyway, Juliet came into town. She met me. We went into a cafe together. I explained to the owner of the cafe why I was in my pajamas and dressing gown and slippers. Well, actually, I was naked under the dressing gown. I just had pajama bottoms on. So I could have frozen to death. So I didn't have any money or food or anything. So Juliet very kindly offered to, she's looked after me and she got me a cup of tea and everything. That was on the 15th of March. And so she took me back to her home, which is here. And she's been looking after me. So I still haven't been shown a room or anything. I don't have a key or anything, but I'm traumatized. And this is before I knew, because I hadn't even read the email, because the day they locked me out was the day I wandered around in pajamas and dressing gown and slippers, and I didn't have my laptop, so I didn't know that they had packed up all my stuff. They have touched my stuff. I could absolutely scream and shout, but there's no point. I'm getting run down with a cold now. I am going to end up with my mother's cancer. You are right, social worker landlord. I am, all because of your corruption. You made me sign a homeless application form 6 days before my mother died. Ephesians. I have nothing to do with any evil works, but rather expose them, or something like that. Anyway, so yeah, so Juliet looked after me here. But then on my birthday, the 16th of March, that's where it all went downhill. I really want this banana. I don't know if it's meant for me. It might be. I need to eat it. I'm emotionally hungry. Oh, there's another banana there. yeah. So so basically, yeah. So she's looked after me here, and it was her friend's birthday on the 15th, so she went out. Um, I had messaged a few people, but there's a thing going around that I'm in some kind of. This is before I made all my live streams about being suicidal. There's been a thing that's been. There's been a thing, the sort of thing going around about me being sort of an attention seeker, rather than carrying a lot of pain and not getting support and being made street homeless and moved around. So kicked about and assaulted and all this sort of rubbish. Yeah. Wouldn't you be suicidal? Wouldn't you be carrying a lot of pain? People like me end up on drugs or lying in a ditch. I've been fighting all of this on my own. So as I was saying, I was saying something. I just want to get to the point so that I can lie down because it's getting a bit much now. To say there's a lot of. My mother was right. There's a lot of jealousy out there. Why would they do this to you? They don't like you, they'll leave you alone. If they do evil to you, they've got an obsession with you. So anyway, so what was I saying? So what was I saying? Where am I? So come, yeah, it was either no, it was either the 15th or 16th of March. My birthday was the 16th. The, the following, so I stayed overnight on the 15th here with Juliet, and on the 16th, my birthday. So Juliet was looking after me, and she went and bought me a breakfast, which was nice of her. And I shall repay. I, I don't like letting people do things like that for me, but I left. I contacted people and left messages saying my circumstances. I'd left a message for the executor of my late mother's estate, explaining my circumstances. And they know I suffer with my mental health, so it's all going to come out, seem a bit strange and everything, but it's true. Let's stick to the facts here. It's true, even if it sounds crazy. And yes, I suffer with my mental health, but these are the facts. So I think I managed to get through to the executor of my late mother's, sorry, the secretary of my late mother's accountancy firm of her estate, and I explained everything to her. And I was in a heightened state at this point, and I gave her Ray Savage's number, and I explained that he was a speaker at the conference, that he's an ex-Sussex police speaker, and that he had dated my late mother's friend, because I said if anything happens to me, whether it's fatal or whether it's whatever. She said, yes, I'll pass the details on. I can't remember her name, but she was patient. I said I had a problem with Sue, the executor of my late mother's estate, because she had once threatened me with police because of Chinese whispers, and because she's she's brainwashed by the lies from adult social care saying I don't engage. Do you see where I'm going with this? Because on the date of the 16th of March, my birthday, I saw a social worker and they've just left me up in arms again. Do you see? They're doing nothing. Nothing. So, yes, excuse me, I have to eat because I'm not well now. I feel quite ill. But, I've got nowhere. I've just got nowhere with any of this. I've got nowhere. I've got nowhere. It was the date of the 16th of March, my birthday, that I went up to Beachy. I didn't tell Juliet. I didn't tell Juliet. I can't, with what she's going through with her treatment. I just said, I'm going for a walk. I mean, I wouldn't tell someone who's, well, it's bad enough. So I just said that I was going for a walk. It was my birthday, so I said I was going for a walk, and it wasn't just a walk, because one of the hotels I went into, they wouldn't serve me 6 shots. So I went and had a shot in one pub. In one pub, they only let me have 1 shot. In another pub, there's only one pub where they'll let me have 6 shots of tequila something, because obviously if you're suicidal and you want to jump off Beachy Head, you need Dutch courage. So I got my Dutch courage. I don't drink, so that that's what was in my mind. Anyway, the woman in the hotel that I went to, I won't say which hotel it is, but they refused to serve me 6 shots. I actually asked for vodka shots, and they said that's a lot of alcohol. 6 vodka shots. Are you okay? Because the manageress took me to one side. She said, we're not going to serve you that. She said, it's your birthday. She said, look after yourself. But I didn't want her to know what was wrong, so I didn't say anything. So that's when I went to the usual pub that will serve me and gave me 6 shots. And I went into the Grand Hotel and to see if they would serve me shots. It was very expensive. They served me a shot of vodka, and it's disgusting. It's like tastes like medicine or poison. And they said happy birthday, and I just felt like dying. I felt like dying. So just wanted to get a happy birthday or something or other. Just something. I didn't have my 40th birthday last year. My 40th birthday last year was just painful. So I was in that awful Cavendish hotel, wasn't I? So I then I proceeded to go up to Beachy Head, and I got a taxi because I did feel a bit sort of woozy, not tipsy but woozy sort. No, not even. No, woozy is tipsy, lightheaded. So I waited for a taxi. I mean, before I finished the six shots, I'd already had a vodka shot, and these six tequila shots was starting to. I thought I was going to be a bit sick. I thought I'm going to be sick. I was in the garden, the beer garden, and I thought, oh my gosh. And then I got into a taxi. The taxi, I managed. He didn't suspect anything. And then I went into the Beachy Head pub. No, I think I went towards the cliffs, and then I realised even I wasn't even tipsy enough. You know, you got to have Dutch courage to do this. So then I went to the Beachy Head pub and asked if I could have a vodka shot or something, and the lady behind the bar said, "No, we're not serving you." And I said, how would you feel? Because I'd never had this problem with the Beachy Head pub before. I said, how would you feel if your father died and you were beaten by the police? I didn't get too close, too close. She said, don't you talk about my father. And I thought, oh, horrible. And then a punter, one of the pub punters said, he made a comment. He said, "Oh, he made a really sarcastic, nasty comment. Oh, really? Can I get served here?" I said, "Wow, that says a lot about you." Anyway, I walked out of the pub, and I think it was getting quite late at this point. I think it had started to get dark, and I went into the Beachy Head chaplaincy hut, and there were people in there, and I was so angry. I was hopping up and down mad, I think, about everything that's happened. And they were listening to me, but it's like, are they listening? Do they care? Does anyone care? Because, as I said, Andy left the Beachy Head chaplains because it's too procedure based and he couldn't save people. So I was told to sit down in the little room, and I sat down in the little chaplaincy hut, and a guy called PC Bowles turned up. A police officer called PC Bowles turned up, but this was when he made out that he was Mr. Nice Guy, because he said, "Oh, my father died." But when he started to get his attitude changed, it seems to be there's something. I don't know. You can sense it. You can actually sense it. They turn up, and you can sense it the minute they turn up. They don't have to show it in their face. You can just sense it. So he said, you then he'd been talking to me, and then he brought in his colleague came in. His colleague, I didn't recognise her. I'd heard of the name PC Paisley, but not until this point. So this PC Paisley and this PC Bowles, who had been refusing to give his name, Bowels, he refused to give his name for some time. But PC Paisley, when she gave me her name, it was only when we were in the police car that I thought, oh yes, I remember that name, because sometimes you don't remember the face, but you remember the name. When so much has happened over 7 years. So anyway, pardon me. PC Bowles was pretending to show concern. Oh yeah, well my dad died, and I said yes, but were you beaten? When he started getting funny, and I said, hang on a minute, were you beaten by the police when your dad died and injured? And I suppose you know how your father died. And of course there's more to it than that, because I haven't seen my father for nearly 30 years, but I've had very painful conversations with him on Facebook. So don't ever compare yourself. This PC Bowles numpty, he started to assault me, started touching me. I said, don't touch me. I said to him, you don't have to touch me. This is the first time I've ever been assaulted in the Beachy Head hut by the police. It's the first time I've ever been told I'm not allowed in the town council MP office or the council office. It's the first time I've been told I'm not allowed in the Beachy Head pub by the manager and the staff and bullied by them. This is a world famous suicide spot, and it's the first time I've ever been assaulted by the police in the Beachy Head chaplaincy hut. So this is all very strange and very interesting. So anyway, I was coerced into coming down to A&E with them, bullied and coerced. Well, he said, you've got to get in the car, and I think he said, if you don't get in the car, I'll push your head under. I said, I want your name, and he was refusing to give it, and by law they're not allowed to do that. A patient in A&E actually later said that by law, when I was making a scene in the hospital and calling out and saying all these things, a patient in A&E said, yes, by law they have to give you your name. And I said, thank you. I think someone even got their smartphone to film me at one point, which has never happened before. That says a lot. Because this is still all very new. It's like something's about to happen here. So basically, PC Bowles and PC Paisley took me down to A&E, and I was in a heightened state. I was really, and I mean really heightened. I've never, under normal circumstances, I would never shout in a hospital. But then when you're having these crimes being done to you and you're not well, that's what's going to happen. And I actually would understand if patients were to get angry with me because they're not well. Because when you're not well, you don't want to hear someone shouting. this is how it is now in the UK. When people are having crimes committed against their human rights and civil liberties, you're going to end up in hospital shouting out to all the patients about and that's what I was doing. I was I shouted out, "My sister is not a man, so come and arrest, charge and prosecute me. You've all been brainwashed. We're having crimes against our human rights and civil liberties and common law and all this other stuff." I said they've assaulted me on Beachy Head and injured me and made me homeless and all this other stuff. And the whole of the hospital can hear this. And PC Bowles is sitting there saying, "I've done a 12-hour shift. I don't need this. Sit down." I said no. So he got on the phone mumbling so that I couldn't hear. He was mumbling on his phone. And I think he was just basically saying, "I need backup because I've got Bryony here who is," they like to say I'm aggressive rather than distressed. So they know who to call out when they deem someone as aggressive. And the ones they called out were the same ones. PC McCarthy, who'd beaten me on Beachy Head during a welfare check when I found out my father was dead last month, and PC Ford, who had dragged me out of the reception area and left me on the streets. And this PC Ford has got a troll account of me. It wasn't just it. First of all, it wasn't PC Ford and PC McCarthy. It was just PC Ford and his equally nasty piece of work female colleague who refused to give me her name. I still don't have her name. So it was PC Paisley and PC Bowles. PC Bowles initially refused to give me his name. Those were the two who took me down from Beachy Head to A&E, and it was PC Ford and his female colleague who didn't give me their names. So I was getting so irate and upset that PC, I say irate, PC Ford grabbed me and said, "You're coming with us." And as he grabbed me with the phone in my hand, he managed to break my phone with the phone in my hand. Whether that was deliberate or not, I don't know. But whatever he did, he managed to break my phone. So, yeah, you can't see the cracked screen because the battery's gone. But basically, he and his female colleague took me into a little room. They ripped my shirt. Well, I heard it tear. They took me round the back of A&E and they were dragging me, and I heard my shirt rip. And there's a bit of a tear here, as you can see here. So I've torn my shirt. I've been told I can claim compensation for a new phone and a new shirt. What's that compared to everything else, though? They dragged me into a little room, the little room where there's a little room that you go into, where I've been assaulted before, but this is the first time I've ever been handcuffed all night with my hands behind my back. They weren't even at the front, they were at the back. and with a leg restraint on. So yeah, and the only reason why they put the leg restraint on me, I've never been handcuffed in that little room before. I've never been handcuffed during a 136, and certainly not as tightly as that, so that I couldn't even drink my water. I had to, well, I to get the water like this. But they were torturing me. They were saying, we will feed you the water. I said, I'm not having you feed me water. At one point, I said something to PC Ford that he didn't like. And because of that, he said, right, you're going to have a leg restraint put on you. So they put the leg restraints on me. They threw me down on the floor to put the leg restraints on me, so that I was face down on the floor. The my water bottle, I was trying to I was getting angry because I couldn't drink my water properly. And at one point they threw me down on the floor so that I couldn't breathe properly. And the water squirted from the bottle all over my front. So I was soaking wet on the front of me. It was terrible. And that female colleague, that utterly demented, it's very psychopathic. You know, it's, I don't know if I think it's a bit of both. I think there's social engineering, brainwashing going on, because they've got to be certain people. They want certain people for the job. Some of our police officers and social workers get their training from the Tavistock Institute, not all of them. Well, I know some of them do, I don't know about all of them, but that's where the social engineering comes from, because it's run by psychopaths. Ask Mark Devlin, he knows that. And that's the same place that Jeanette Archer was tortured as a satanic ritual abuse survivor, and so was Adam Ant. So, yes. It's social engineering at best. So, anyway, PC Ford and the female colleague were very vile and sick. You know, smirking at each other, playing mind games, talking over me. And you get down, you. So Bryony, you know. It was worse than being in a school playground. It was evil in the end, and this female would not give me her name, but I'm going to find out. I'll find out her name. I think I exposed my breasts to her when PC McCarthy had beaten me on Beachy Head, assaulted me during a welfare check after I found out my father was dead. She was there at the patrol centre when that day when I exposed myself, but PC McCarthy took over from her. PC McCarthy took over from her to torture me along with PC Ford. PC Ford was being stupid. He was saying his name's not PC Ford, it's PC Franco. PC Franco is someone else. He was playing mind games, and he was saying, at one point he said, I'm going to ring Juliet. So I thought you said 5 o'clock, because I was saying they were stopping me from going to reception to say that they'd broken my phone. They were stopping me from going to the toilet. They were stopping me from getting more water. which is considered to be torture. If you prolong it for too long. That's what PCE and Williams said. Well, I say it's what they did to me, what they all did to me was a whole night of non-stop verbal, mental and physical abuse. At one point, the female and PC Ford was saying, "Oh, Bryony, your breath stinks." Oh, like this. Well, I don't have a toothbrush and I don't have toothpaste. I don't have anything because I don't have access to anything, do I? And look at what they did to me when they threw me down on the ground. I've still got bruising everywhere. So, it was terrible. And PC Ford was also saying the same thing. He was going, "Oh, your breath stinks." Oh, like this. Both of them were doing it. I know my breath stinks. They didn't like hearing what I had to say. But I didn't let it bother me. They want me to get upset. But Julia agreed with me that it was just, she couldn't believe what I was saying. But she's had some terrible experiences herself with someone else, but I can't say anything. So, but, yeah, no, but, basically, I'm just trying, at some point the Scottish female took over from the other female, so I was left alone with because I think they relieve each other. The Scottish female police officer who had been there at the Lansdowne Hotel, she came in, and PC McCarthy took over. So it was at one point it was just me, PC McCarthy, and the Scottish female from the Lansdowne, and he was smirking. The weird thing is, when PC McCarthy turned up, I thought he was upset for me. I thought he was crying. No, he wasn't. It was eye drops. But he really looked like he was crying. I thought, I wonder if he's crying. I wonder if he feels bad about what he did to me on the 3rd of February. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No, he wasn't. He called my partner a C word. He said I'm full of bull, S-H-I-T, that I lie, that I should get a job. No one believes me. No one cares about me. He was name calling me. He, at one point, he said to me, we had a disagreement about common law, and he said, "Do you realise under common law I could punch you in the face?" He's a big, great, big, fat, um, vile piece of work. Really, really vile. A great, big, fat oaf, really. And I think they were getting off on all of this because PC Ford even said maybe you two are related. Because he said, "Oh, I can't wait to tell him that you had a nightmare about him." But I did, and I was very honest. I said, "Yes, I had a nightmare." I said it was based on reality. He was sat in the car, and I had the colleague in the back. This was the nightmare I had about PC McCarthy. And I said, "Is your mother proud of you then?" So she's proud of you. Judgy. But the awful thing is, at one point when I was, I don't know if I'd been, what it was while I was pushed down on the floor or while I was sitting up, but a group of them, police officers, came and they said, "Yeah, we all know what you're like, Bryony. You're always suicidal." And it was the other PC, McCarthy, that said that. because that PC McCarthy was there. Because I remember thinking to myself, I thought that there were two different PC McCarthys. Because the one that was in the room with me was an absolute thug, but this other PC McCarthy that turned up with a group of them. So we all know about you. You're always like this. He was there when I ran out of the hotel, the So Hotel, when Darren snatched a knife from me. That awful time when Darren snatched a knife and needed stitches. He ran out of the hotel, and I ran into the sea. I can't believe I'm saying this. It just doesn't seem real. It's trauma-based mind control. So much for trauma-based therapy. Crimes against humanity. Trauma-based mind control. So I'd run into the sea. This was a few years ago. That was the same PC McCarthy. So anyway, it was just a night of non-stop mental, verbal, and physical torture on on the 16th of March. Yeah. So as I said, PC McCarthy referred to my partner as a C word. He was calling me names. Said I'm full of bull, shit. They were trying so hard to push all my buttons. No one cares about you. Do you think Juliet cares about you? So I already had a broken phone, so I couldn't ring her. But PC Ford pretended to ring her. Said, yeah, she don't care about you. Juliet says she never got a call. But he'd already lied. He'd said, I'm PC Franco. He's not, he's PC Ford. And at one point he said, my troll account, I've got account. Well, I say it's a troll account. He said, I've got a YouTube account called Legend. We all know about your YouTube videos. And he started playing my YouTube videos while I was sat there. And they know about my YouTube videos because, well, for the obvious reason, when I've been suicidal. So why should I be surprised? Why should I be surprised? There's a reason why I'm telling the truth. And they've proved it. So it was just horrendous. It was really horrible, though, hearing PC McCarthy say Darren is a cunt. Because that word is so sharp. And the verbal abuse, the abuse was so bad that I actually had to pray out loud. Abba Yahweh, El Shaddai, rebuke this. Oh, do you know what the word rebuke means? Do you know what that means? And they do this thing where they talk to each other and smirk and laugh. And they interrupt you and then this is how they treat people who are suffering with their mental health. They're talking to each other, smirking, like, and then they'll ask me a question. I'll answer them and start talking, and then they'll interrupt me and start talking to each other. That's not just rude. It was utterly, utterly psychopathic. It is pathologically sick, and they either can't see it or they choose not to, or it's a bit of both. I don't know which. But yes, social engineering has played a big part, obviously. But wow, I've never known, but honest to goodness, I've never known anything like it. What they did to me was so evil, I had to pray out loud several times over to rebuke it and to put a hedge of protection around me, because it's like they want me to kill myself, or they wanted me to do serious harm to them. because several times PC McCarthy threw me on my front several times. The only reason why they put a leg restraint on me was because they didn't like what I said. It's called telling the truth. So these are crimes against human rights and civil liberties. But isn't it interesting that they brought in PC Ford and PC McCarthy knowing that I had made announcements to the general public in A&E about their human rights. So, but it was so bad that obviously I had to have x-rays on because my hands had swollen up. They looked like there was water retention in them, and the bruising was really quite bad. But it's enough to push a person to suicide. And you tell the police officers who come in what it was so bad that I was screaming out to the hospital for help. No one could hear me. There was no CCTV. There's no one to hear your cries. But there are people who have been murdered in police cells. I know, because I've heard of it many times. It's happened many times over the decades. It's just wow. But yeah, no, I just can't get over it though. If there's anything I've missed out, I'll put it in the description of the video. But the long and short of it was PC Williamson turned up. I'll just say, yeah, they took me. They wouldn't let me go to the reception desk to report my camera. My phone is broke. And PC McCarthy kept saying, "You stay here. You so much as say anything to anyone, any funny business, you're going back in your box. Back in your box." And I kept telling them they've got nothing between their legs. Can you believe this? That they're doing this to a vulnerable female. That's why I said to them, I kept saying all this stuff. That's why they don't like me, because it's the truth. I said about Paul Dacres and the list of paedophiles, wife beaters, and rapists. It's even been on the news, apparently, that foreign police officers in this country have been raping women. So that's what the other lady said to me. So at this other place. But who knows? Who knows? Nothing's surprising. I kept saying, I feel sorry for your family. My grandmother lived through 2 wars, so did mine. You're a this, you're a that. You put on other people. It wasn't working. It was pathetic. It's like how can you describe it? It wasn't even amateur narcissistic abuse. It was subhuman, below. Um, doesn't even come close to normal levels of narcissism. It's just so pathetic. But it was evil and it was vile. But when I was in the toilet with this, the weird thing about this Scottish girl police officer was she was copying every time PC McCarthy was smirking at her. I said, "Don't look at him, look at me," and I got her attention. And I said, "How would you feel if your father died and someone did this to you on Beachy Head?" And I managed to get her attention, but every now and again she'd laugh to her colleague. But then I managed to get her attention because I told her they were trying to break her. I know what these nasty pieces of work were trying to do. They were trying to break her like that, so that she would become like them. And at one point she said, no, at one point when they had my hands cuffed behind my back, she said, Bryony, keep still. You're gonna hit me. I said, and then she accused me of lashing out at her. I said, wow, that's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You could not, if you'd seen it, you wouldn't have believed, you wouldn't, you'd have to see it. You'd have to see it. She actually said to me, Bryony, dealing with you is worse than the guy who spat at me. Ooh, Jackanory. Jackanory. Wow. Wowee. A woman trying to defend herself and her rights. Because that was at the point, what she was talking about was at the point when this great big, evil, dangerous thug threw me on my front. It's interesting because this Scottish police officer was not there to see what these two male thugs did to me when she wasn't present. So, what they said and what they did. Because if she'd actually heard them saying that Darren is a CUNT, my partner, he's more of a man than they'll ever be. Darren is more of a man than than any of the police will ever be. That's not to say what he did was not abusive, but he's still more of a man than they'll ever be. It was PC Ian Williams who suggested that I go to him because he said men are stupid. Men don't know what they're doing, and you've got to be the one to chase them, unfortunately. I said, no, it shouldn't be that way. But a bit, I don't know about that. It's a bit of a catch-22. But so yeah, but when I was allowed to go to the toilet, these two thugs escorted me with the female Scottish lady. This little girl, Scottish police officer, I was left alone with her in the toilet. And she had to hear me using the toilet because she was in the toilet with me. And whilst I was going to the toilet, I was saying to her, I said, you do realise what they're doing, don't you? Because at some point I'd said to her that this is a hospital that I visited my mother in oncology when she had cancer. And as I was washing my hands, I could see that there were tears in her eyes. So they were trying to break her in. Do you see what I'm saying? They were trying. I could see what they were doing. And they, PC McCarthy and PC Ford, knew that. And they'll be watching my videos and they know what I'm saying. So so at some point PC Williams and PC Anderson took over, and they came in and they weren't as bad, but they were still being inappropriate, and they don't get it. They've got cognitive dissonance. PC Anderson even said to me, what does that mean? But I'll let him off. He had a sense of humour, but it was misplaced. And PC Ian Williams, the only police officer that I like, said, yes, it can be a bit inappropriate at the wrong time. I said, these are crimes. you know. And PC Williams said to me, well, look, I can't comment because I don't know what's been happening, but if you feel that that's what they've done to you, report it. And maybe you can get compensation for your phone and your shirt. But the point of the matter is, none of this should have ever been happening in the first place. This is the sort of crime that can push a person to kill themselves. It was utterly, utterly evil. And the fact that I was shouting out for help in the hospital, because it's only when they turned up that they gave me more water, because my mouth was so dry. I had dry skin all around the outside of my mouth. Bruised all over.